Hello YouTube, it's great to have you back for another episode of our Let's Play, Twisted Dunes, on the Oasis map. I'm your builder, New Build Cities, NBC for short, and in this episode, we're going to be all about trains. So I hope you brought your conductor hat, and let's go Choo Choo. But first, let's take a look at our city and see how it compares to the original map. And you can see as we round the corner of the highway here, I actually elevated the land quite a bit. I destroyed the original highway, raised the land up quite a bit just to give me some more flat surface, because this is where our industries DLC and our generic industry is going to end up. And I wanted to have some more room, especially some flat areas, because some of those processing type buildings take up a large footprint. What I'd like to do is run a rail line that goes along the highway here and connects, we'll say, the east side of the map with the west side of the map. But before we get started with the rail, let's take a look at our city and just see how it's doing over the last 5 episodes or so. Our city's doing very well and it's growing. I really like how the European suburban area turned out. It looks gorgeous. Still a little bit of detail to do in our original neighborhood, but it's starting to flesh out real nice. Got a little bit of high density kind of poking up here and there. So that's looking pretty well. You can see I started some of the rail line along the outskirts of our original town. And you can see here I started laying out some of the train stations where I think I'd like them to be. And our downtown is going to be on, we'll say, the east side of the waterway. So what I'd like to do is place a passenger train about midway between where it says 4-way and 4-way. It'll have a bypass and it'll allow the external train, we'll call it inner city train, to run through it. That's the bypass train stations from that content creator pack are perfect for that application. You don't have to create a bypass track that goes around the station. It looks awesome when they shoot through the middle. So we'll be using that in a couple places. And the goal of the train station we place here will be to bring employees down into the industries DLC area so they can go to work. And I just want to do a little bit of training just so our train line has a little bit more of a gradual approach. And in this city, I'm going to run an experiment. So you're going to participate in this experiment with me. So in this experiment, what I'm not going to do, and I repeat, not going to do, is create separate train lines for passenger rail, cargo rail, and inner city rail. We're going to have it all on the same line. I'm going to use a mix of some of these bypass trains, one-way track, and dead-end track, just to see if we can pull it off. So this line is going to go from our, we'll call it DLC employee station, to the main, I think it's like a 4-track station that we have in our city right now. And I'm going to get a bridge over top of the highway. I just saw I removed the soil. If you're a fan of the channel, you probably saw my new tip of the day, ditch and rip technique, where you dig a ditch and then let it rip. And that's what I'm doing here. It makes it very, very easy to draw bridges over roads. It'll prevent the road or track that's trying to go over top the other road from trying to snap to it and like laying flat. I would say it looks sad when it does that. So we have some significant elevation to overcome. And what I'm going to do here is create like a switchback for the train line, at least for now. And we may change it a little bit later on. That way we can draw out the elevation change. And that way we can make the grade a little less steep and maybe somewhat more realistic. I really don't want my train kind of shooting out towards the highway like a rocket ship. And it's a little bit of a challenge to build, but it's not too bad. It's looking good so far. I really like how it's coming out. Now, the only disadvantage of doing it this way is you're making the route longer, which means the game may prefer driving over using the train. So we'll have to see how that goes. I don't think they will, because even though the route is technically a little longer, it's faster track, right? The track, I think, is well over 100. I want to say it's like 120 something miles an hour. Whatever unit you want to use, kilometers an hour, because they don't have units. And they can't, at least on console, they don't actually have units. So they could technically be 120 pigeon clocks a year. Who knows what the unit could be. Just make up whatever unit you want. That means it's faster than the highway. So technically you can run your train line parallel to your highway and have people still use it, because it does have the faster speed. But in this case, we are extending this quite a ways. But trucks have to go through our dumbbell interchange, and that they're not highway roads. I think some of them are even just residential roads with trees. So I'm pretty confident that this train line will be pretty well used. And it's looking good so far. I'm happy with it. Now we just need to connect this to the original track. And we got too many guides in the way, as always. I'm gonna leave the key that it's on a little wide for a second track in case our experiment fails and I do eventually have to create a second train line, maybe segregate out the cargo and the passenger. So this is the plan so far. We're gonna have a route depicted in red here that's gonna be kind of like a loop, and it's gonna intersect with our downtown station. Of course, we're using that bi-level station. I wanna say it has 8 platforms. I'd be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it has 8. And we're gonna have a second line that runs along the blue here. That's gonna kind of cut through. And where our industry is now, in that bottom left, we're gonna move that, of course, to where we just placed that train station. So we're going to have residents in that location. We're going to have residents kind of along the right here where it says residential North American style type buildings. We're going to have self-sufficient residential kind of like in the middle, just we'll say east of our downtown. And we're going to have a European kind of themed area on the left of that. And then we're going to have our campus and some residents up to the top right corner. So the downtown is going to kind of be between our 4-lane concrete road and that body of water. Then on the other side of that we'll have probably self-sufficient again, and then maybe on the very outskirts, very similar to the European suburban area that we already built. We'll probably do something similar to that on the opposite side of the map. And it'll be nice because then this overall city will have a nice kind of tapered look where, you know, downtown has some height. You know, we'll use some unique buildings and stuff to kind of create a little bit of a nice skyline. And then from that height, the city will kind of taper out. And towards the outskirts of the city, we'll have like light residential with some of those European high density buildings that are, you know, they're still pretty low, only 2 or 3 stories tall. So let's go ahead and run our track across our dumbbell interchange and kind of get it connected to the opposite side of the map. And I mentioned it before, but you might be new. I tend to use the land for elevation as opposed to using elevated roadway or track, just because in my mind and in my, you know, where I live, we don't have a whole lot of elevated roadways or train track or anything like that. We do have a train, but it runs on a raised bed of land that, of course, goes over roads. And I imagine they do that because it's, you know, when you move the land around, it's like a one-time thing. Of course, you know, put some concrete, some gravel, something like that to kind of keep it in place. But once you kind of do that, I imagine the maintenance cost is pretty low, as opposed to having to take care of an elevated road or, you know, elevated you know, rail or something like that, where, you know, the underneath is exposed to the elements, so you got to keep it painted and all that stuff. You've probably driven on the highway and you've seen the poor workers up encased in like all that plastic and stuff, and they're painting the underside of the overpass. Yeah, so we're not doing that here. But as we get closer towards like the heart of the downtown area, we will be building some elevated train track. And we're actually going to use a technique to put the train track directly on top of the road, which is pretty cool. I'll give you a good application of using that. So, you know, I'm not completely opposed to building elevated structures. It's just where I can, I try to use the land as best I can. And to me, it's just a little bit more realistic. But you might live in an area where it's elevated all over the place. The track's coming along pretty nice. Now we have to get across the highway interchange. I think we'll go above it because the key and everything's already above it, so we might as well just keep the same height or close to. Bye soil. Hopefully I remember to put it back. Now what I like to do is create a bridge that just kind of comes right across. I think that's a pretty good angle. We'll ramp it up to where our train track is right now. We'll have to kind of come out and come back in because the angle's a little off, but that's okay. I think the way the bridge landed there is pretty good. That's looking nice. I love bridges. I do love the bridges, and I always strive to where I can to get the structural support look of the bridge. So you'll see me dig a hole and run the track or the road, because of course high height will generate that. But if you don't want your bridge to be up into the sky, then you just remove the land below it. And then you can put it back when it's built. I feel like this train's a little too close to the highway, because we're gonna have the land once again come up to it. And we're gonna use a bypass train station here as well. We're running the main train line that's gonna connect to the other side of the map. And like I said, it's gonna look really cool seeing like cargo trains and regular passenger trains just kind of zipping through there and not actually stopping. But we'll also have trains stopping there. I like how it looks. And what we're going to do here with this little bridge, we're actually going to create a waterway that runs down the left side of that mountain. You can see where it says water feature. I'm going to create a water feature there. It's going to come down, go underneath the highway. It's going to pull in that little water spot, come through the bridge, and connect with the body of water on the left. Now let's go ahead and get across the main road. Once again, I like my bridges to have the cool little structures on them. It just looks nice. This is going to be a little bit of a harder turn for the train, but that's okay. They can slow down. It's not that far from the train station, so they got to slow down anyway for their approach. Not too bad. And I may tinker with it later on. And then we're done with that part. Let's just take a look and see what we got. We got this line coming from the east side of the map, going to this train station and bypassing through if it needs to. Then we have our train dipping off to the left, as well as continuing straight, going over our dumbbell interchange, coming along the quay. Looking pretty nice. It's going to look really nice once we kind of add some fencing and some trees and decorations and all that stuff. Coming through the next bypass train and out the other side of the map. So let's go ahead and connect this train station below us to our, what will be our campus area. And as you probably saw, I created a water feature kind of in the mountains to our right. Started the campus a little bit. I lost some of that footage, unfortunately. But you didn't miss much. The campus is pretty small. It's got like the main building and a couple auxiliary buildings. Just enough to get our folks going. And as you can see, I'm creating, we'll call it a retaining wall because the campus is going to be elevated above a waterway here, and we're going to have our nice 4-lane road go through here as well. And you know me, I don't necessarily want my road to be straight or flat, so we're going to go ahead and create some elevation changes. What I want to do is is create a nice beautiful bridge you see before you with it's a combination of the American 4-lane and European 4-lane, and it just I love the foundational structures that it creates, this big blockiness. This looks awesome. We'll get to see here again in a minute. Just gonna go ahead and continue doing some train work. I just love that foundation. It just looks impressive. You can get a similar combination using the European 2-lane and American 2-lane, or really a European 2-lane in any other road. And it's blending the land back into the key. And after some training, I think it's looking good. I love that waterfall. It looks gorgeous, looks beautiful. And now I think we're ready to run our train line. And once again, we're going to use that ditch and rip technique. Dig a big ditch, let it rip, and we're going to get a nice smooth rail line out of this. I'm going to put the land back. I think it looks nice. It looks really nice. And what I would like to do is now connect that to our downtown station. So let's go ahead and get rid of some of this roadways. I like to keep a few guides here, so let me put that back. And in this spot, as well as in another spot, which I'll probably end up showing you later, we're going to elevate the train above the roadway such that they're going to be, one's going to be above the other. And you're going to see here in just a second we're going to do it. And it's an interesting technique. You can do it with any road and any track, and you can really do it, I guess, in multiple levels. I've seen some folks do 3 or 4 levels high. You can use also some padding pillars to create pillars, and there's a lot you can do with this. I'm just kind of doing a little bit more basic method here. You create a road that's, we'll say, about 8 units long, so two shy of a full road length, and then you're going to go ahead and put your elevated portion, so in this case railroad track, above that, and then you're going to go out 4 units, or just where you see kind of like that marker for the full length, and then you back it down 1, and then you're just going to keep inchworming out. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to inch, so we're going to kind of go out, I said, about 4 units. And then we're going to put the road underneath it and go out 4 units and put the road underneath it. Now you cannot manipulate the elevated road once you're done. So it better be the road or track that you want, or you have to rebuild the whole thing. And you also can't do any curves or turns off of it, just because you'll create pillars, and the pillars will go on the road. Maybe you can if you really figure out how to manipulate it, but it's probably a little tougher. The road underneath, you can do whatever you want. You could blow it up, put a new road in there. You can upgrade it to a because we're gonna put, it's not gonna be the dirt road forever. So we're gonna probably upgrade that to 2-lane or 4-lane road. But then now we're out to the edge of the water here, and we're just gonna create a bridge. We'll do a span across the water. I'm trying to keep it flat as we can. Looks pretty good and looks pretty level. It's not very often it works out that well, so I'll take what I can get. We're going to kind of continue that through on this side. We're going to draw our about 8 length road, and then we're going to go cross that with the track and then do 4. And this inchworm, 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 which I'm going to go cut off here in just a second because, you know, it takes a little while to do as you're inching. Now let's go ahead and connect our train station to our elevated track. I just want to create a nice turn. You can see our elevated track on the right. Got no pillars above the road. It looks a little goofy, but it's a great space saver. And it's a shame we don't have a road with train track like we do with monorail. You should have metro and train as well. All right, it looks good. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we've accomplished. We connected the outside lines together from one end of the map to the other. Running through this bypass train once again is going to be our train station for our employees coming out to our industrial type areas. Then the track kind of comes off to the left and goes to our 4-platform station next to our kind of commercial area. Comes to another train station that's going to be like our North American residential area towards our downtown train. We've connected that to our bypass train up there. We got another train station down here, and of course by our campus. I've also off camera added a few cargo stations as well, and they're fed by one-way track. So the idea there is the train will use the train line. It'll bypass through some of these stations and then disappear once it unloads cargo. And we're going to have a train station probably about where our furniture factory is, maybe a little bit farther up. It's going to become a residential neighborhood once we move it, which will probably be in the next couple episodes. And in the next episode, what we're going to do is create a gated community in that red outlined area. That's going to look good. We're going to bring water down in. It's going to look really nice. We're going to move that road a little bit as well. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed creating our train network. It was a blast to build. A little tough to build in times, but it's developing very nicely. I'm looking forward to seeing how it's utilized once the city kind of grows around it. And if you did enjoy it, please leave a like to help support and grow this channel. As well as I'd love to welcome you into the NPC family by having you become a subscriber. If you'd like to interact with me live, stop by my Twitch page. The link is below. Shoot me a follow. That way you'll be notified the next time I'm streaming. I wish you the best and brightest success in your cities. And as always, happy building.